Can you hear that?
Mm-mm.
Really? Wow. It's like a
What is it?
garbage truck backing up. You can't hear
Well,
it?
let's just give the credit to your great microphone.
Money well spent. Oh, today is such a good day because this is one of my favorite topics to talk about ever. We get to get a little geeky here, a little technical, and this is just, this is me and my at my best. So today's episode, we are going to talk about equipment. Uh, this is the one thing that I wish more people just had access to, this kind of information, so that this wouldn't be the one thing that's holding them back from starting their show. We're going to talk about audio. We're going to talk about video. We're going to talk about lights. We're going to talk about all the things that we think you should think about before you even purchase your camera. Because truthfully, one of the biggest questions that I get is, which camera should I buy? And I think that you don't need to think about the camera until the very end. So Christine, the audio expert, I would love for you to tell us what you recommend when it comes to purchasing a mic and just an audio setup for everybody here. Just pay attention right now.
Okay, so this is what I start with every time. The room you record in has way more to do with your audio quality than the microphone you use. And here's why. The microphones that are out on the market today, there's hundreds of them, they're all great. I mean, yes, if you spend a few $100s, you'll get a better quality than if you spend 20, but truthfully, you can get really good audio quality on a $20 mic. And just to prove my point, I am recording right now every episode on Think Like a Producer with a microphone I spent $30 on off of Amazon. Not because I was trying to make a point. I was actually going to test this for a client and I just got lazy and kept using it. So, yes, I have some other microphones, but honest to goodness, this microphone, $30 on Amazon, like super simple, USB, plugs right into my laptop. I'm not even using an audio interface with it. It is basic as they come, and you can hear me. It's not bad. Now, if you listen for a minute, you'll also notice, if you really tune in your ears, it's not as rich and deep and full as TIFF's is. TIFF went for a much nicer microphone, and for good reason. But we're going to just break down quickly kind of the pros and cons. Yes, I'm going to give you some tips when you're picking a microphone, but I want to make this point. The room you record in has way more to do. And that happens that I record, it doesn't just so happen. I mean, yes, I strategically put my office together where I have carpet on my floor. It's a small room and it has a pretty low ceiling. I'm in a historic home with kind of an attic ceiling. So it's pretty great for recording, I have to say. So, carpeted rooms, small rooms, low ceilings. It really helps to have textiles. So that can be curtains, rugs, blankets, fabric on your furniture, all of the sound absorbing materials that we know already. You don't have to go as far to put foam panels on the sides of the room and on the ceiling unless you really want to and you have a dedicated space that you can just completely put to a recording booth. That's awesome. Of course, you'll get great sound quality. But we're in a pandemic. A lot of us don't have access to a recording studio or to a workspace that we would have had on a normal year. So a lot of people are recording from home, and it's okay. You'll see people like Ira Glass and Brene Brown have posted photos during the pandemic of them recording their podcast in the walk-in closet of their home. Because if you think about it, a walk-in closet has a ton of textiles, carpet, a low ceiling, and it's small. So that's why there's like some fun jokes. It's actually an ideal recording environment. Now, obviously, if you're doing a video show, that's not going to cut it. But for audio quality, when we're just talking audio, those are the pro tips that will make way bigger difference than how much money you spent on your microphone. If you put an awesome $500 mic in a big cement floored 20-foot ceilinged glass loft, it's not going to go well. It is not going to go well. So that is why I will always say it matters way more about the room you record in than the microphone you use. And of course, yes, there are some fine-tuned points to choose a microphone and consider, but honest to goodness, most of you who are probably watching the show are trying to make a show work in not a studio environment. And we'll get into filming in a minute. Of course, there's a different consideration. If you have cameras on, you're probably going to be using a different kind of microphone. Yeah, you're going to do things differently. But when we're talking pure audio quality, for something like Tiff and I are doing, or a solo show or a show where you're interviewing people remotely, just think about that sound quality and think about the room. Okay, now really quickly, just to give you a few pointers, and we'll give you a space to find way more resources later. But there's two different kinds of microphones that you'll commonly see if you're kind of going with this setup where you have a microphone right in front of your mouth and you kind of put audio first. You're not trying to necessarily look good on camera. Then you're going to either choose a dynamic microphone or a condenser microphone. You can literally Google the difference right now. You'll get way more information than I'll cover in this episode. But in general, if you're in a room that's multi-purpose, that isn't specifically designed just to record amazing audio, then you're probably going to want to use a dynamic microphone. And if you're in a really dedicated, beautiful, built-out sound studio closet in your home, then you can go with a condenser mic. And again, if you want to know the differences, just Google it. Obviously, you're welcome to hit us up in the DMs if you want me to go super deep into this. We can record a special episode, but just to kind of give you the basics, dynamic mic is what a lot of people buy because it allows you to pick up just kind of the sound right around your microphone and not pick up so much of the ambient noise. And a condenser mic will pick up everything in the room so you get the best sound quality, but also it'll pick up everything in the room. So that's your basic intro. It matters way more the room you record in than the microphone you use. But obviously, that's only half the equation. Tiff, if we're doing video, what do we need to know about equipment?
It's all about the lighting. I do want to point out though that Christine's kind of mentioned like my mic has to be a bit more expensive because I do not have the beautiful environment that she has when it comes to recording audio. I have wood floors. I'm in a very big open space, and so I got a microphone that would sort of block out all the noises around me. I also don't live in a very quiet building. So the point is that it's just focusing on my voice, and I had to pay way more money than she did just because of the environment that we're in, but it's worth it for me to make it work. So just pointing that out because you guys are going to see a very big difference in our equipment as far as pricing and our list and everything at the bottom of this YouTube video. But I just wanted to make sure I point that out as like her environment was perfect for recording audio. Mine is not that great, so I had to put more money into the mic. The second thing that we focused on when we were building the show was the light. So I am using artificial light in order to light myself right now. Basically, I have two light panels. I have a white wall kind of right behind my desk so that I can see Christine, but it's bouncing the light off of me. And what I try to tell people is that the camera doesn't matter if you're super dark and if we can't hear you. For Christine's setup, we went with more of a natural light. She has a very nice big window. And I believe you're filling in the light a little bit with the ring light, or is it just your natural light?
This is all natural.
All natural. I love it. So she's got the all natural light. And so when you're thinking about your audio environment, right now we have to think about the lighting side too. I personally do not have that much light coming into my apartment. There's no way that I'd be able to be as well lit as Christina is right now. But she was able to find a good combination, a good sounding room with a room that was well lit so that we could be able to do both. And if you're like me and you're like, okay, I kind of live more in a cave, then that's where more of the expenses come in. But you can find maybe $200 worth of just light panels that you can just make sure that you're evenly lit, that you're not super dark. But lighting is probably one of the biggest issues that I typically see when people are recording because we're not really thinking about it. Another thing I would say, just to kind of go off of this, is like the time of day, right? Christina and I know that we need to record in the morning and kind of have a similar lighting time so that she's lit for every video very similarly. Me, I can control it. There's a little bit of a difference. So if you are going to have a co-hosted show, if you are going to be streaming, maybe not in the same area, or if you are going to be in the same area, think about the lighting as well, because I've also seen this where one person looks, for some reason, amazingly lit and then the other person is like a little bit darker and not quite as much, and so things don't match as well. So this is just something we wanted to give you as a little bit of a recipe before you start spending so much money, so much of your hard-earned money on equipment. Think about the environment, think about what you can use, the resources that you do have before you start to invest. And then the last thing we want to talk about is preparing. Christine, if you would like to talk about the importance of planning and preparing.
This is one of my favorite topics, of course. So, absolutely, you might have done your best research, gotten great equipment for your environment, you figured out your setup, but it all comes down to the day that you're recording. Because from good experience, Tiff and I can tell you that if you are too rushed, you haven't prepared properly, there's always little glitches that'll pop up, and it's so easy to overlook a setting, or to have forgotten to charge your battery, or to have forgotten to turn your mic on, or to have bumped your volume, or not to match your volume, or forgotten to turn on the light, or the light went off because the battery ran out. I mean, there are just a lot of things that can go wrong on recording day, even if you have great equipment and a great environment. And it's so worth it to prepare for your own peace of mind and low stress lifestyle, but also because your time is valuable. And obviously, if you're on a production team, your client or the talent's time is valuable, and you want to be able to deliver a consistently awesome product. And that comes from preparation. So there's just a few things, and we'll do episodes later that will go really in depth about this, but some basics would be obviously make sure all your batteries are charged, that you have backup batteries, that you've got the cords for everything. It's the worst when you've forgotten the power cord for the one thing that can only take a power cord. You want to make sure that you give yourself enough time, that you arrive on set, even if it's your own house, even if it's your own recording studio, well enough before recording time so that you can check all of your different settings, so that you can do a little test. So if you've run into an issue, you have time to troubleshoot, you're not rushed. These make a massive difference. And I can say, and I think Tiff, you'll agree, the 100% of the mistakes I've made were because I was rushed, or I was sleep deprived, or I was stressed, and I just didn't give myself enough time to prepare.
Absolutely. And your time is very important. I'd say, just to add to the preparation, test your equipment. You're going to see some recommendations when you look in the bottom in the description, and you're going to see like, oh, I want to grab Christine's camera and Tiff's mic. And, you get to play with it as much as you want, but test the equipment out. Do a half an hour show that you possibly could share with everyone, but maybe not, just to see, was the lighting okay? Was I able to bring it into my actual editing system? I think one issue that Christine and I, this is like a bonus tip, one issue that Christine and I realized very quickly was that for me, Sony cameras work better on PCs. For her, Canon cameras work better on MacBooks, right? So we're just, even the OS and the software and picking the right camera, I just want to make sure that I point that out, because we are using our cameras like internally recording the best quality possible, but we just want to make sure that you understand that there's so many little pieces that go into it. So I do think I need to say that I am a PC, Christina's a Mac. And so be careful with which cameras you decide to buy in case you want to use this for streaming or Zoom calls or anything like that. That was just a little bonus tip, because I think that was something, as we were setting this up, we just didn't even realize, or we were trying to figure out what would be the best for what we're both working with. So if you noticed throughout this entire video, I did not mention cameras or camera settings or anything like that, because I really believe that everything that Christine and I mentioned in this video is way more important than which camera you should buy. However, I do understand that there is a need for this. And what I did and what Christine has been doing is we have this membership group that you guys can find the link to below. And basically, we give these hands-on, in detailed videos and answer your questions directly. Because truthfully, my camera system, everything that I have, my entire desk setup does not work for Christine, and vice versa. So it's very hard for me to say, this is the one camera, the one mic, the one thing you should buy. So I decided that it would be better for me and my reputation to do this individually for each person. So if you join our membership group, it is a monthly fee, and you'll have direct access to us, and I can actually support you with your individual setup, your individual equipment. And I have a couple of videos in there. Christine has a couple of videos in there already, but each week you'll get a new video from us, very specific to the members who are in that group. Like I said, the link is below, and we would love for you to join us, and we'd love to help you on an individual level. Thank you so much for watching one of my favorite episodes here that we ever record, just on this technical side of what podcast equipment we recommend.
And if you just need some quick links, some resources, you're like, give me the goods, I want to buy a camera today, check out our resources page on worthfulmedia.com. You can click on the link below, it's in the show notes. And we have just a website full of all the links of all the equipment we personally use to produce this show, plus a few extra options that we recommend to clients and that we have known for years are a good fit. So we've got kind of beginner budget up to pro budget. So check on the resources page at worthfulmedia.com. You can find the link in the show notes. And as always, if you are digging the show, subscribe to our channel. We have new videos that come out every Thursday. And if you love audio and you want kind of a longer format of these episodes, definitely subscribe to the podcast over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find us. We would love to see your feedback in a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. So leave us a review over there. We read every one. And we will see you on the next episode of Think Like a Producer.
Complete.
Thank you so much for watching this episode.
Oh, is that all you say?
There's a lot of really good bloopers from today's recording. Save them all. Thank you so much for watching this episode.
Be sure to check out our episode on the pros and cons of building a personal brand.